It's been called pot, tree, OG, and even the sacrament, and so many other names. No one knows them all. But the verdict is in depending on what court of opinion you talk to. Pot, weed, grass, 420 ganja herb, and when it comes to the really good stuff, loud and the bomb. Marijuana, aka cannabis, is a hot topic that brings out the best in the pros, Dr. Allen to my left, and the cons, Dr. Allen to my right, of its marketing, political expedience, and the satisfaction of its use. Welcome to the Allen and Allen debates. Allen v. Allen. Today we will visit both sides of this ongoing trial. The verdict is not in. Is weed, aka Mary Jane, the bomb? Or is it a time bomb waiting to expose the underside of the pleasure, greed, and vice that it invites? I am your host today, Charles Gwyn. The show is Help Somebody. The topic is cannabis, the pros and cons, and our guest is Allen v. Allen. I'd like to ask Dr. Allen to my left your opinion on why you support the use of marijuana.
I support the use of cannabis because cannabis mimics a chemical communication system that your body has, and it controls all physiology, and it really controls what's called homeostasis, and that's the ability to stay away from death. And so this is a new science regarding a chemical communication system that your body has, and every cell in your body has these proteins that cross the cell wall and act like little antenna and receive chemical communications. And when they receive these chemical communications, they cause changes in the cell. And so most people are familiar with estrogen binding onto estrogen receptors, insulin receptors, testosterone, opiates to their various receptors, and cannabinoid receptors. And so your body makes these endogenous cannabinoids or endocannabinoids, and they float around and they attach to these proteins, and they cause physiologic changes that regulate all of cell physiology. And so this is a new science that is not taught to the doctors, and your doctor is probably unaware of this new chemical communication system.
All right, very, very deep there, doctor. It helps you avoid death, huh?
It helps you avoid death.
My Lord, I've never heard that one before. Bishop Allen, to my right, your opinion on why you don't support the use of marijuana.
Well, number one is because it's the greatest gateway drug ever. We have statistics that tell us that 60% of individuals who start on any other drug start with marijuana. We have statistics that tell us that 59% of all arrests, individuals are arrested with marijuana in their system. 83% are arrested with all other drugs within their system. We absolutely know that it's a Schedule I drug from the federal government, which Schedule I simply means that there are no medical benefits. And that has been that Schedule I has been tried to be turned over, but the High Court said no way possible. And so because the High Courts have said that, then the doctors have no right to study medical marijuana or marijuana or pot or ganja. If there's some medicine within the cannabis, then it should be dispensed through a pharmacy and have a prescription connected to it, like every other medicine that is approved by the FDA, to be approved through the right way. But today, you can only get what is called a recommendation from the pot stores that are located in the underserved community. And so when we take a look at marijuana, we take a look at ganja, we take a look at pot, we see the harm that is causing the individuals, especially for recreational use.
All right, I heard you use what I would consider a code word in the underserved community. Are you saying that the the recommendations are being marketed to people that are underserved?
Oh, absolutely. When you take a look in Colorado, you take a look in Sacramento, or you take a look in California, most of the pot shops are located within the underserved community, as if the underserved community need more dope in there. They have more dope stores than they have grocery stores. You're not going to find these pot shops, these so-called medical marijuana stations in the affluent neighborhoods. They don't want it.
All right, Dr. Allen, how would you respond to the comment of underserved community as it relates to the placement of the cannabis shop? And I think you kind of combine the cannabis shop with the recommendation, which I think they're two parts totally different from each other. You get the recommendation from a doctor, and then you're allowed to go to these cannabis shops. So, Dr. Allen, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, there's cannabis stores in virtually every community, and it's not just in poor communities. At one time in Sacramento, there was like 60 plus cannabis shops here in the citywide, and so I don't think that they're distributed solely in the poor neighborhoods.
Okay.
So.
All right. Okay. So, what do you think are some of the sociological benefits of marijuana, whether it be medical marijuana, as they say, that requires people to get a card, or the new regulations or new laws that are coming on the books as of 2018 that will allow people to use marijuana recreationally?
Well, first off, I'd like to mention that I believe that there's no such thing as recreational use of cannabis. Dennis Perone first said this. He said that that all cannabis use is medical use, and the reason I say that is because this is a new science that's really super complex, and it's really more complex than rocket science, because it has to do with the spatial configuration of proteins and ligands that bind to the proteins. And so this science is super complicated, and just because you don't understand this complicated science, when you use cannabis, does not mean that you're not using it for medical reasons. You may have other reasons that you verbalize, well, I use it for this or that, but the truth is cannabis causes homeostasis in humans, and even if you don't understand this complex science, it still works, and if you can't explain it, that doesn't mean it's not medical use.
All right, Dr. Allen, how would you respond
I
to
absolutely
that?
disagree with him. If it's not for recreational use, why is the states voting on recreational use? And then there's medical, so-called medical use. Individuals are not all smoking marijuana for medical. In fact, we know that statistics says that 2% of those that are using cannabis for medical use, or those that are using cannabis for medical use, is only 2%. The rest don't even need it. They're just going in to buy it to smoke it. And so that's why we see this overflow of addiction. And again, we have great scientists in the federal government. We have the FDA that has not approved this. And the FDA will approve peanut butter and ketchup. But the FDA have not approved cannabis for medical use. And if that's the case, then let's look. If there's medicine in cannabis, then I'm cool with that. I'm a pastor. I'm a bishop. I want people to be healed. I want them to be well. But let's not put the stores in the underserved community. Dr. Allen's wrong about that. There's not one store in Land Park in Sacramento. There's not one store in Granite Bay in Sacramento. The majority of the stores are in Alan Warren's district, Del Paso Heights, and Oak Park. Why? Because our now new drug dealers, which are our elected officials, who are allowing these stores to come in, first of all, as medical facilities. Yeah, there are new drug dealers because they're allowing it to come in. It's no longer the corner drug dealer. They're put out of business. They're gone. The person that could sell marijuana in the community and make money, they're gone. They can't make any money anymore unless they stand by the drugstore and sell it less than what's being sold in the store. But and so he's wrong about that. The majority of our cannabis, so-called medical marijuana, is an underserved community. Why? Why would you put these stores in an underserved community? Because you know they're not using it for medicine.
All right, that's a strong argument, Dr. Allen. We have no statistics on where the placement is, and we're taking Dr. Allen's word for that. But how do you feel about that same old argument from ministers like Dr. Allen, Bishop Allen, that keep bringing up these ideas of liquor stores and all of the vices that go along with human existence being in low income areas?
Well, cannabis shops are going to come up everywhere. At some point in the future, Walmart will be selling cannabis on the grocery shelves. You won't have to have any kind of a recommendation. You just go in there and buy it, just like you buy your broccoli. And the reason for this is marijuana is a nutraceutical, and what that means is it's a nutritional thing that doesn't hurt you, that helps augment your natural endocannabinoid signaling system. And so these so basically cannabis is going to be in your diet. It's a daily it's going to be a daily requirement to be in your diet. And if you eat it raw, unheated, it doesn't get you high. And so that's one of the important things that the government doesn't want you to know, that if you eat raw cannabis unheated, it doesn't get you high, and it protects your pancreas from diabetes and protects you from strokes and heart attacks. And I brought documentation with me to prove exactly what I'm saying. I can prove virtually everything I say by scientific evidence. And so the future of marijuana is nutraceutical. You'll be feeding it to your children and your grandmother. The children will eat it. They will be quiet in class. They won't have ADHD. They'll eat lunch, and they're going to have less ADHD. Grandma will be protected from diabetes, strokes, and heart attacks by using cannabis. It's going to change medicine in ways.
Well, Dr. Allen, to my right, looked like he just took off the gloves.
Well,
this is bare knuckle now.
Doctor,
if he has information that support those positions, but one thing I want to do is qualify words. Because words are very particular to the person that's using them, and they use words to promote their position. Words like nutraceuticals, word like endorphins and proteins. Where do these words come from? Are these words that were around 100 years ago, or are these new words that are being generated through a process of being able to make the concept of the society more palatable to the people that hear them? I want you to think about that for a minute, Dr. Allen, and I want to go to your response.
I definitely would tell you, whatever research Dr. Allen has, that research has not been introduced to any thing else.
Okay,
and to use these.
Before you go further, you mentioned earlier about that the federal government won't even allow research because of the scheduling of the
That's
drug.
exactly
So I want
right.
you to address that in your comments, because it seems that if you have a closed mind about something, information like this can't see the light of day. So as
I would like to interrupt for just a second.
No, he has.
I know, but
he has to get his in,
I got it.
and then you'll get your
And,
chance.
and,
Go
and
ahead,
they have a
Dr.
closed
Allen.
mind. It's not that. This is the federal government. They absolutely, like I said, the FDA regulates peanut butter. If they say that crack cocaine is a Schedule 1 drug, if they say cocaine is a Schedule 1 drug, if they say marijuana is a Schedule 1 drug, there has been research that backs that up. So this is not a closed mind, closed door statement. And because Dr. Allen comes in here with his big words and say all of this stuff and then say it's going to be on the shelves of Walmart, yeah, in the underserved community, it's going to be on the shelves of Walmart. So we're not impressed by the big words, endorphins. What we do know for a fact, I'm talking about factual fact, material facts, statistics, that marijuana, we have an increase of addictions among youth. We have our teenagers dropping out of school. They're not sitting there calm. How do you educate an intoxicated mind?
Well, one thing he qualified that he said if it was unsmoked, he said eaten raw. But I'd like to give you a thought to think on as Dr. Allen to my left comments on your comments. You said that the U.S. government doesn't have a closed mind, but yet we see all the fallout, especially in the underserved community, of how the government actually uses industry to kind of cattle or guide people into those lifestyles. One being which is the prison population that's there for drug use. So think about that for a moment, and we're going to go to Dr. Allen as he responds to.
I just have a question for Dr. Allen, or for Bishop Allen. Why should the government make it illegal to study cannabis? Why is cannabis so dangerous that no doctor should be able to study it?
I don't have the answer for the federal government, but it's the same way for other drugs, not just cannabis. What we have found out about cannabis is that those that want to make money off of the backs of our youth, off of the backs of the underserved community, it doesn't matter if it's crack cocaine or opiates or whatever it is. As Dennis Perron said, he said, let's make marijuana. We have to disguise it first. And this is public knowledge. We have to disguise it first as medical marijuana. Make it the red herring. And then once the people get used to saying medical marijuana, then we will be able to turn it into recreational use. He brought up Dennis Perron. He might not have known that I know that Dennis Perron made those statements. And so all of this, medical marijuana, is a ploy. The federal government is absolutely right. What is medicine and what is not medicine? And so you want to separate cannabis, but you don't want to separate all the rest of the Schedule 1 drugs that the government has already looked at and said no, and that the high courts have looked at and said no. You can't make a decision on this and not have your own scientists say that there is no medicine in it. And so to all that are listening, this is not a closed mind statement. This is a scientific study statement by the federal government that have said there is no medicine, and so therefore it cannot be dispensed, or therefore you cannot have a prescription from a medical doctor. You can only get a recommendation.
Dr. Allen, does that answer your question?
No, it's complete gibberish. Cannabis is a Schedule 1 medicine. Schedule 1 means three things: high potential for abuse, and not used currently for any medical purposes in the United States, and 3, not safe under doctor supervision. So that's Schedule 1. So
there you go.
All right, so THC is Schedule 1 along with heroin and a bunch of other things. But THC is also Schedule 3. Marinol is synthetic THC, and it's Schedule 3. So the government hypocrisy has allowed the same molecule, THC, to be in two different schedules, Schedule 1 and Schedule 3. Schedule 3 doctors can recommend and can prescribe. Schedule 1, you can't make a prescription for it, because if you don't have a Schedule 1 license, if you had a Schedule 1 license, actually you can write a prescription for marijuana. And there's 2 people in the United States right now that get prescriptions for marijuana. They're under the Investigational New Drug Program. LV Musica, a really good friend of mine, and Irvin Rosenfeld receive tins of federal marijuana under the Investigational New Drug Program, and they still receive it today. There was as many as 14 patients that entered this program, and only 2 survive now. So, and she can fly anywhere in the United States with marijuana, and nobody can touch her.
Question here. Do you think the prohibition from the federal government as it relates to the backing of marijuana from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 2 or a Schedule 3 drug is related to the fact that marijuana is easily propagated in the community?
Well,
and that it carries along with it the prohibitions of being able to go to jail and to be prosecuted, because I think that's a big issue
and I want to deal
in
with
the
that.
cannabis community.
And so let me deal with that, with this go to jail stuff. No one is in prison for a joint. Those that are, and statistics will bear that out. I'm just so amazed to hear the professionals talk about how many people's in prison for. No one's in prison for a joint. And let me say this,
Dr. Allen, I have to disagree with you. They may not be in prison, but a lot of people have caught cases, especially in the South, of the Mason-Dixon line. Of the Mason-Dixon line. Hold on, doctor. Let me finish this statement here. South of the Mason-Dixon line, simply for having small amount, I mean roaches, what we call roaches and things like that in their car. And I know of a case that was in Newsom County in Georgia that related to those very issues. So you can't, I mean,
so let me help you here.
Do a little bit more background.
No, I don't need to do a little bit more background, because SB 1449, especially in the state of California, allows you to have an ounce or less without going to jail. That's 160 joints. That bill was signed by Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't need to do my research. I know that. And so right now in the state of California, you can walk around with an ounce or less, get caught, and it's not even a ticket. It's not even a traffic ticket. And so here's what happens. And let me talk to the brothers. Let me talk to you guys that are going to jail because you are pulled over with marijuana in your car, and you get caught by a police officer that's in back of you. Why are you driving dirty? You know you're on probation. You know you're on parole, and you are the ones that are violated. But those statistics are not kept. And then you have the people in the community thinking that you're arrested for a joint. No, you're arrested because the first thing that the police officers ask you, are you on probation? Are you on parole? As soon as you say... So
you mean to say that if SB 1449, signed by Arnold Schwarzenegger, are you familiar with that Senate bill? SB?
I want you to ask you a question because I got your answer for you.
Okay, well, my question relates to, if that's the truth, then how come the brother's not being educated when the police stop them? And if they have less than an ounce, why is that riding dirty?
So then why you drive? Why
is it driving dirty?
Why are you talking about? Why you want to down the police officer for doing their job? Why don't you down the brother for absolutely knowing that they're on probation, they're on parole, can't get caught with a joint, can't get caught with a bullet, can't get caught with a gun?
Okay.
That's right. So you can't blame the police officer.
No, not for that. No,
you got to blame the brother that's driving dirty in the car. Now, if you want to talk about drug court, which has a 16% recidivism rate for the first year and a 27% recidivism rate for the second year, and those that are busted and don't go to the drug court, they have a 46% recidivism rate. I could talk about drug court too, but that's another story. Why it's necessary. It's necessary for some of these brothers to hit bottom. But since we're talking about prison time, no one no one in the state of California, no one that I know of, is in prison over a joint unless they pled down, unless they've been caught violated. Brothers, listen to me. Listen to me. You driving in Oak Park dirty, you're going to get busted. You driving to El Paso Heights dirty, you're going to get busted. They're going to smell the smoke coming out the car. And the first thing the police officers ask you when they pull you over is 2 questions. Are you on probation? Are you on parole? And if you say yes, all your rights are taken away.
Yes, indeed. All right, very good, very good. We're coming to the end of this. I think this has been very good, and I'm hoping I can talk to Jamie and some of the powers that be around here, see if we can continue this. Are you gentlemen willing to continue this a little bit more so we can go more in depth, maybe? I like to keep them, about a half an hour. Don't, not a long, drawn-out session, and maybe schedule them a couple weeks in advance to kind of give you guys good enough time so you can do your research, because you came in there power-packed. And you came in here power packed. But what we want to do in our last few minutes is get a closing statement, first from Dr. Allen to my left, as we move forward into more deeper discussions into some of the scientific and other ideas that you have on cannabis.
There's a study that shows that cannabis decreases the incidence of diabetes by 66%. And so what that means is it decreases the incidence of everything caused by diabetes by that same amount. So decreased amputations, blindness, decreased amount of hemodialysis for kidney failure.
Big one.
And so there's a lot of money in not making cannabis legal. So once cannabis is legal, there's going to be a dramatic drop in diabetes and dramatic drop in the expenses for diabetes. And so this is a large amount of money that people that are currently getting the money do not want it to relinquish this money to some other source. And so our medical dollars are going to be spent on using cannabis to prevent disease, and there's virtually no disease of man that is not either cured or ameliorated by cannabis, and that includes cancers, strokes, heart attacks, diabetes, irritable bowel syndromes, seizures, and a bunch of other things.
My, Dr. Allen, that's deep cotton right there, sir.
No, it's not deep cotton. It is the rhetoric of those that want to see pot. I've been hearing this rhetoric for years.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bunch of rhetoric, not proven fact. In fact, the proof is that marijuana is 70% more carcinogenic than cigarettes, cause more cancer than cigarettes.
Not true.
Don't tell me that. Tell the CDC that, who puts those facts out. The fact is that the marijuana that the kids are smoking today is more, the THC is much higher, and we're seeing more dropouts. We're seeing, and here's the big one that the marijuana legalizers want to say. No one has died from cannabis. Well, I want to tell you, no one has died from a pack of Cools either, or Camel either. But certainly they're getting cancer and they're dying. No one has overdosed from that. And so, and then I want to correct Dr. Allen on one thing. Marijuana is legal in the state of California right now as we speak.
It's semi-legal. It's not really legal.
Well, you tell the federal government that. Right. Prop 64 says that the state of California can legalize marijuana, and the federal government has given, under the Obama administration, any state, the right to legalize marijuana. So we have a few states that have marijuana legalized. But let me tell you what the governor of Colorado said. He said it was the biggest mistake they've ever made, legalizing marijuana in the state of Colorado, because the arrests of blacks went up, the arrests for Latinos went up, and the arrests for whites went down.
I would like to say, if you want to decrease the amount of people that are arrested, then if you make marijuana legal, then there will be 4 times more or less black people arrested for marijuana. There's currently in the United States, blacks are arrested 4 times more often than whites, and they have virtually the same amount of use.
Okay, we have to leave it right there. We want to thank Dr. Allen for coming in today, and Dr. Allen for coming in today. I think we can carry this on a little further, so let's see what we can, to do to see what we can do to possibly get another session here, because I can tell the jury is out. I see eye flashing this way, and I see facial expressions that are dictating that we are not finished with this topic here. So I'd like to thank you all today. And what we hope that this program would do is the name of this program, which is to help somebody. I'm your host, Charles Gwyn. We'd like to thank our producer, Mr. Jamie Jones. Let's give him a hand, everybody, for doing what he does so well and getting us into the studio today. Thank you. And gentlemen, you want to say thank you to your audience?
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll be talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank Dr. Allen and
Brother Charles. Thank you. Good day.